Hello. Not much has been done since I have had so much going on. I did finish this little section, but we're still in that, let's see, that third row. So next I'm going to decide what will go here. It'll probably be something with a lot of space in it like that, but not a house, but something sparse because this is all both really tight stitching. But today I'm going to do something different. So let's see what is in the basket for today. I'm starting a series of what's in my basket, and I have this vision of a whole bunch of these squares, and they can be different squares and shapes and everything, but a lot of little slow stitching motifs, little, oh, you know what I mean, little images, little, maybe a teacup or a book or something like that. And I want to have a whole bunch of these, and I may make them into a big wall hanging, or I may attach them to my quilt, kind of every now and then. Or I might just make like a little embroidery book with them, just like a little sample. But there's so many things you can do with them, or you can take them and glue them to, like hot glue them to a card and send it to somebody to get well or whatever. But I have this vision. So let's see what's in my basket. We're going to get that and see, I already have one of them, and I'm sure you've seen this before. And I need my scissors, and I'm thinking about using this. It's a little bit smaller than this thread that I have that I've been quilting with. The thread's a little bit thicker, the quilting thread is. So I am thinking about, or crochet thread, I call it quilting thread. I'm thinking about using this because I love the sheen to it. It's so pretty. And not lace. I may use this green right here. I love this olive green color. So I'm thinking about using these colors and maybe even this ecru. So let's start with that and see what we can come up with. I have some ideas, I think, of what I want to do. So let's get our scrap and get a needle. Let's see. Okay. And just start working on it. And then we can chit chat, little stitch with me video, and see what we can come up with. That's what I love about slow stitching. As far as the quilt's concerned, that's very slow stitching. I did my husband's quilt a lot faster than that, and it had patches and everything. But you know what? Life goes on, and life gets in the way, and you have all sorts of stuff come up. But I'm never in a rush. I don't like to rush my projects because then it just doesn't do well. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this in the camera. That is my goal. So let's zoom out just a hair so it doesn't go out of camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm wanting to start off with a wreath because I love wreaths, and I like to do kind of like a grapevine wreath, but I think let's start out going in a circle and using the couching stitch. Don't forget, you can use the couching stitch. If you don't know what a couching stitch is, you're about to find out. Couching is really good for curves and things like that. So all it is a thread from one point to the other and anchoring it down. to keep it, kind of tack it down, keep it in place, but you just go from one side to the other. Pretty simple. So let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And see, I can maneuver this like that if I wanted to. Of course, that wouldn't be a wreath, but you get the idea. But I want to keep its shape. So you basically just pull your thread, figure out your basic shape, and then tack it down with the little couching areas. And you could see it if I was doing it one color. And that's true. A lot of people will do that. They will use the anchor stitch in different colors, just depending on what they're wanting to use it for. So instead of doing a whole bunch of stitches to make a circle, you can just do it this way. And since this is a grapevine wreath, I don't want a perfect circle, because twigs and stuff, when you weave them around and around, they're not going to be in perfect uniform. So let's go down here. Let's go down here. There we go. Keep checking my phone here to make sure, not my phone, my camera, to make sure it's all in view. So let's see. So let's go here. And if there is something else that you would like to see, let me know, because I love helping you guys out. There are so many stitches that we don't have enough tutorials on, or there's probably a lot of tutorials out there, but you may want to see my take on something. I don't know. But don't be afraid to ask me, because I love making videos of something you want to see. So I like doing that, because I know that when I'm looking for something in particular on YouTube, I have in my mind what I want to see, and it's hard to find the video that has that. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. Okay, so I'm not pulling this tight, but I'm pulling it tight enough. So let's go back and do this and anchor it down. Yeah, I think last week I did a tea towel, and I love that. I love daisies and pink roses. I'll have to do, maybe one of my motifs can be daisies and pink roses. Okay, so I have all that anchored down. And like I said, it's not a perfect circle, but it'll do. And then now I'm going to do lots of little twigs and things. And that's my favorite part, because you can just do one here, maybe cross this one to here. Like I said, I want it to look like little sticks sticking out. If you know what a grapevine wreath is. If you know, you know. And then go here. But that's the beauty of doing one of these wreaths. You just kind of go wherever your little heart wants to take you. And you just keep building on this circle here. Just keep building twigs and things like that. And you'll see once I get this done. I may not get to the leaves today, because I don't want this to be a 4-hour video. Not that it would take me 4 hours, because this is kind of a small picture. But I want to, I don't know. Let's see what it looks like once this is done. Usually when I do these wreaths, I like to do different colors of brown, because not all twigs are the exact same size. And I mean, not same shade of brown, and some of them are, the ones underneath are darker because of shading and things like that. So it just kind of depends on what you want. But something this small, I'm not going to worry too much about shading and the different techniques. I just want a bunch of these that I can applique on a quilt or make a wall hanging or make a fabric scrap. I mean, like a embroidery tester book or something. And let's see, kind of a scrap, literally a scrapbook. But if you have any ideas on what we could do, put it in the comments below, because some of you may want to start this with me. I mean, goodness, might as well get out a piece of white cloth or whatever cloth you want and get some brown thread. It doesn't have to be this thread. It could just be regular brown embroidery floss, and do this with me. And we'll figure out something together. But like I said, if you have any really cool ideas, put them down below and I will make sure I mention them in the next video. But you can even add, on this, you can add florals, little flowers, little berries, a little bird. You can even make this into a nest if you keep going in, you know, and going all the way to the end. There's so many things you can do with these little grapevine wreaths. And I've never seen them before done like this, so this is kind of how I do them. And I've never seen them embroidered before, but I like doing stuff like this. And then another thing I like to do is take this and go just kind of right there. And then let's do a little couching stitch here to anchor it to where it's not exactly a straight line. But some twigs kind of stick out funny. And it'll make more sense once this fills in. I feel like Bob Ross. Do a little tree here. Mary Poppins. What's in my basket? Or she has a bag, doesn't she? But that's what I love. I like just throwing a whole bunch of stuff in my little basket and getting on camera and thinking of what we could do with you, with it, with you. Does that make sense? What we can do with it, and we can think of it together. So the back's going to look messy, and that's okay. I'm not worried about perfect embroidery, because this is going to be tacked down. And I might even, depends on what project we use it for, I may even do like put a piece of fabric on the back to cover it, to kind of pat that down or cover it. I've got a needle in my lips. Hang on a second. I'm going to sound funny. But wouldn't that be cute? I think it'd be really cute. So let's get another piece here. I don't like to have my threads real long because I can't stand the little knots and stuff that the long pieces of thread form. And if you don't like your thread getting knots and things like that, then don't make it too long, or you could run into that very easily. Knots in your thread and things like that. Because there's nothing worse than those little loop knots, you know what I'm talking about? If you're a embroiderer or cross stitcher, you know exactly what I mean. You have to pull the loop and get the knot out, and it kind of breaks your rhythm. So this thicker thread is a little bit harder to thread here with my needle. There it goes. So now otherwise I would hide my knots and stuff like that if I wanted. Like in my tea towels, I hide my knots and do things and start my stitch differently because I want it to look almost the same on the back side as I do the front side. But this is a lot faster way to embroidery, in my opinion, when you don't have to worry about the back. Okay, let's see, what do we have here? A knot. And what did I just say? I just talked about knots. There we go. That wasn't a knot, that was just almost had a double thread here. Okay. So this is funny. See, you're catching this live on camera. We're having knot problems. And I'm sitting here saying, don't have it very long or you'll get knots. And what's happening? I'm getting knots. And it's not a very long thread, but this is very typical. Okay, got that fixed real quick. But the likelihood, if you have a very long thread, the likelihood of getting knots is astronomical. And I don't like knots. I don't have patience for them, especially when I've got a rhythm of what I'm doing. And see, you can do this and have it. And see, if I go this way, I don't have to couch this stitch. I can just bend it this way by going this way and having all sorts of, like I said, twigs and sticks going everywhere. But I love these wreaths, and you'll see this is one of those things where you have to trust the process, because you may think, well, that didn't really look like anything. But the more you do it, the more little stitches I add to it, the more you'll see that it's starting to become something. So you can kind of tell. And then once you add either berries or little tiny leaves to it, you really see it come to life. And that's what I like, you know. And I think I'm not going to have this too thick because I want you to see what it looks like with little leaves on it. But what's cool, if you stick with me and just like put the notification bell on or something, that way you know when I do a video. But if you stick with me, you can see all of these in progress and do them with me. And then together, we can make something really cool. I think that would be fun. And then if you do one of these, I would love to see it. I love it when my subscribers come back to me and say, I did this and, you know, and I did one too, and it was so much fun, or whatever, you know, and it was a great gift for my daughter or whatever. But I would love to see them, see what yours look like. Maybe email me or something, a picture, but unless you have a video channel, and then do a video of it. But that would be really cool to see all of what y'all do. That would be fun. And this also can be like the crown of thorns on Jesus' head. Or, I mean, you can make this into all kinds of things. So maybe you want to do like a quote unquote holy quilt or a holy book or something like that. Then you can turn this into the crown of thorns. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Or maybe you like rabbits. You can turn this into like a little briar patch. There's so many things. My best friend, she loves nests and things, little birds and nests, and she collects them, and I did all kinds of, I've done so many nests for her. They turned out really pretty, but this is how I did it. So once we get done with this thread here, I'll start the leaves and let's see what we can come up with. Now the leaves, I'm thinking about making the lazy daisy stitch for the leaves, but I'm also thinking of another way. I want to experiment. I think it's a fishbone stitch. I don't know. I don't pay attention to terms. I just do this. I've been sewing for 40-something years and never worried about the terms of what stitches were called. Okay, once you get here, this is a lot of fun. Okay, so I have about that much thread left. You can go in and weave around and not have to go in and out of your stitches. You can weave kind of like what you do on the back side when you're trying to weave in your thread when it's finished. But this will also kind of not tie it together, but kind of make it all, well, I guess kind of bind it all together and give it more of a finished off look that I like. So it is really cloudy today. I hope this shows up well for y'all. I think it will. Okay, we're almost at the end here. But see how that looks? Isn't that pretty? Like I said, you have to really trust the process. It looks very organic, very natural, and I love that. Okay, I'm getting too short here on my thread. And I showed you the tip that I have for that. If your thread's too short, it's in one of my other videos. But we're not looking to expand this thread. We're just looking to end it. So, okay, that's good enough. I love this color. Now if I can find the beginning of it. Where, oh where? There we go. Well, I thought I had it. Hang on. I have them on these little clothespins because I forgot what DMC color it was. I guess I could get out all my threads and put it next to it and see, hey, what color is that? But I'm not going to do that. Oh, okay, I see now. It's one piece. But I just want one strand, so I don't want to use them all. And another way you can separate your strands, tap it on the end, and they all come out real easily. And then you take it and you let that come out just like that. And they're very easy to separate like that. See? And that's all it takes. Now let's get this threaded. This ought to be a lot easier. I say that, and here's another trick you can do. You can turn it like that so it doesn't have all those frayed ends to get snagged in the eye, and that comes right through. And let's get this knotted. It's not very long of a thread, but that's okay. And I can definitely tell where the back is. I hate messy backs. I don't know why. Very OCD. Okay, let's do a couple of different leaves and see which ones we like. So here's the Lazy Daisy. And I did a tutorial a couple of days ago on this. So the video that's right before this one, it's got a lot of ideas for Lazy Daisy stitches. I mean, a lot of practice in it if you want to look at that. Okay, see, I like that. However, it's not really showing up like a leaf, I don't think. I mean, maybe so. Kind of. I guess if I had a whole bunch of them. Well, let's do a few of these, and then let's do that fishbone I was telling you about. I call it a fishbone. It's probably something different. Let's see. See, I don't know if this is going to show up like I want it to. Oh, and if you notice, I'm not using a hoop because these are so small. I usually don't, believe it or not, I don't like working with a hoop because the hoop gets in the way, you know, the thing that you tighten it with. My thread always gets around that. And this I can maneuver like this. See, you can't do that in a hoop. You can't move your material like that. And I'm a on top stitcher. I don't like to go up and down, up and down. I like to keep everything on top. I say that as I anchor this down, but you know what I mean, for the most part. Okay, so if we do that, let's put a leaf here. See, I don't really see that. I guess I could put a line in the middle of that lazy daisy and make it that way. Make it look like a leaf that way. See, like this. And that way it'll look a little bit more like a leaf. Like that. Let's put one here. That smaller one you're not going to be able to see because I pulled it too tight and it made it a straight line. I'm sure you can see that. But these look more like leaves if you put like that little vein right down the middle. Okay, so let's do, and I love tiny things. I don't know about y'all, but I love little tiny things. That's what's so cool about these. You can do so much with them. Okay, so let's make that fishbone I was telling you about. Okay, so we're going to start next to it. And we're going to go down this way. And then we're going to go up here. Oops. Sorry about that. And we're going to, let me get this steady. There we go. We're going to cross that over. And we're going to keep doing that. And get wider here in a minute, just as long as we have that sharp point at the top. We're going to cross, and then we're going to cross this. And I always want to meet at the stem. Okay, let's go one more out. Cross over the main stem. And another one out. Cross over that. See how it's forming a little leaf? And now we're going to go in just a little bit, because leaves go like that. So the wider part is in the upper 2/3 of it, of the leaf, and then it goes in again. So here is that. And we're going to cross down over that stem. And now we can do one or two things. We can complete this and keep going shorter and cross, or we can leave it like this and leave a stem so it's like a little stem with a leaf. So we can have all kinds of leaves here. I think I like that though, don't you? If you like these better, let me know in the comments. But my personal opinion, I like that. See the detail? I love how that ended up. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. I'm trying to get this to where you can really see it. Of course, these take a lot longer to make, but to me, they sure are pretty. Lots of tiny detail work, and I'm using a blunt tip needle, tapestry needle, which probably isn't the best needle in the world for this. Especially for tiny stitch work, you want a sharper needle, but that's fine. I keep poking my fingers, see? I keep... So I decided to give this child, me, a safety needle. That's what I call them. My granddaughter uses these. I'm teaching her how to stitch. She's 4 and she's learning. I mean, she's doing really well with them. Okay, this one I'm just kind of doing it haphazardly because leaves aren't perfect. So, and I don't want this one to be perfect. I did this one perfect because I wanted you to see what I was doing. But see how it just kind of curls up? So that's how I wanted that one. Let's do, let's see. Let's do another one on this side. Starting from, because I want it to look like it's got weaves kind of woven, leaves woven in. So let's go underneath here. See how I did that? You don't want everything on the top. You want them, if you want them woven in, you want them to look like they're woven in. Kind of like a bird, you know how they build their nest, they weave things in and out, and that's kind of what I want this wreath to be. And if anybody has a grapevine, a true grapevine wreath, you'll see lots of actually dead leaves woven inside because people don't always take all the leaves off the vines before they wind them. And I love that look. I've got one actually over to my right, a grapevine wreath, and that's where I get my images from. I don't like to have a pattern when I embroider. I like to look at the actual image and then try to mimic that. So like when I started this grapevine wreath, that's what I did, and kind of compared even the color, put all my browns up next to the wreath to see which one it looked like the most. And then I'll just kind of picture it and say, oh, okay, so that stick goes this, and okay, it weaves around and under. Oh, that gives me an idea. I can weave around and under, which is what I did. Because it's obviously it wouldn't be a whole bunch of just little sticks, or it wouldn't stay together unless you hot glued it all. And I've been known to do that before and burn my fingers everywhere, get glue everywhere. Okay. So here we go. Let's start to get a little smaller. I'm wanting it to curl a little bit, but I started off wrong, so I may do that with the next one. You know, kind of like a little curled leaf. And you can do that with this if you take the line. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can tell, I'm going to split this thread here. See that? I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to split that thread. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want it to look like this is part of the original. This is part of the original stem that I started with. See? And then you can turn it like that. Now it looks like it's kind of curling up at the tip. So, you know, it's how leaves are flat and then they kind of curl sometimes. Yeah, I like that. That's cute. Because not all leaves are the same. So let's put one, let's have one, instead of all going like this, let's have one going out this way. I love, even though I can't see y'all, I love thinking I've got company with me as I'm sitting here and stitching, even though you guys can't talk back to me. Well, I guess you could in the comments. Sometimes when I make comments on people's videos, I will sit there and I'll leave the chat, or not the chat, the little comment box open. I'll say, oh yeah, I like it when I like that stitch you did at 2 minute and 38-second mark, and oh, that's really cool. And I'll keep it open and then say, oh, I agree, and put in parentheses at minute 6:28. Or, you know what I'm talking about? Like, create kind of like my own little timeline of when they're talking. And, oh, thank you for this idea that you gave us at 10:39. But I love doing that because sometimes so much is covered in a video. I'm like, okay, what else was it that I wanted to say? So I'll leave my comment box open, and it's the kind of like I'm talking to her as she's talking to us, or him, you know, depending on whatever video I'm listening or watching. But I love doing that because I want to make sure I cover everything. Or, how did you do that at minute mark 15:08? How did you do that again? Can you show me? What did you call that stitch? Or, because you said it earlier and I couldn't find where you said it. Or, you know, you get the picture. I like doing that. Okay. That is cool. Y'all, I am excited. I am such a nerd about stuff like this. And the fact that I'm doing a whole bunch of these with you guys, not wreaths, but like next week I may do a teacup, or I probably won't, but, or I may make it all organic. Maybe I'll do a really cool leaf with a bunch of different colors. I don't know. Comment below and let me know. I keep saying comment, but I want you guys to have a say in this too. Because I feel like this is your little session as well, so you might as well have a little say in it. Maybe you have some ideas of what you would like to see me embroider next. If it's something organic, or if I should just do a house next, or a kitty cat next, or a tree. Trees are fun. They take a long time, but they're fun. Or a flower. Maybe you have a favorite flower you'd like to see done. Seriously, let me know. Somebody wanted more details of the Lazy Daisy. Actually, several of you did. So my last video was a tutorial not only for beginners, but for seasoned stitchers on what else you can do with the Lazy Daisy stitch and how you can layer it and elevate it. And that turned out really pretty, I think. Got it somewhere. You know what? That's a square. I could put that in my basket as well. Such a good idea, because I was wondering what to do with it. I was going to put it on a get well card or something. But let's add that daisy to our basket. Wouldn't that be neat? Okay, you probably can't see this one as well. Maybe you can. See, I'm doing it right on top of that. Yeah, what did I do with that? Is it my basket? I can even add this to it. Where the quiet things live, because I always say that. Instead of where the wild things are, it's kind of a take on it, because my channel is like a slow, quieter channel. It's not so hectic. So it's kind of the opposite of where the wild things are. I ought to do a little children's book, because I'm an author too. I don't know if any of y'all knew that. But I've been wanting to do a children's book, and I think that would be cute, Where the Quiet Things Live. I have to make sure there's not one out there called that. Yeah, I might do that. And I'm a songwriter, hymns at church. Speaking of that, I need to check with the person who writes the music for me, because I can't read music worth a flip. I can sight read, but I can't like make the notes and everything. I can hum, and I'm a singer. You know, I can hum it and sing it, but I can't put it into I can't put it into notes. So I have a good friend of mine who knows everything about music. He's writing the music for me, but I can certainly write the lyrics. And when he's finished with it, I'll show y'all if you want. Show you the lyrics. Okay, so here is that leaf. So now I don't know what to do with these. I may make these into something. But right now I'm going to pause this video, finish up the leaves, and show you at the end how it looks. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay, I finished it and I love how it turned out. So very random leaves. What I did with the lazy daisy stitches is I just stitched over it with that stitch. So that way you don't have 3 random different kind of leaves. But at least you got to see what kind of leaves you can do. That daisy that I was talking about, I have a whole tutorial on that from my last video. I gotta get all these. I like the frayed ends. That's how I did my husband's quilt. I just did little frayed ends, and I like that showing. So yeah, so now we have 2 for the thread basket, and make sure to turn on the notification bell and subscribe and see what we come up with next week. Thanks for watching.